Alright, let's talk about a story that most of us think we know. David and Goliath. You've heard it before, right? The underdog takes down the giant with just a sling and a stone. But here's the thing most folks overlook. David took that battle personal. See, for Goliath, it was just another challenge, another fight to flex his strength. But for David, this fight was life or death. Losing wasn't an option. And let me tell you, when something in your life gets personal, you fight differently. Let's set the scene. In the book of 1 Samuel 17, the Israelites are camped out on one hill, and the Philistines are on the other. In the valley between them stands Goliath, a 9-foot-tall warrior, fully armored, carrying weapons so big most men couldn't lift him. And this guy wasn't just standing there. He was running his mouth every day for about 40 days, taunting God's people. Goliath says to the army of Israel, and of course I'm paraphrasing, why bother even fighting? Send me a man. If he wins, we'll serve you. But if I win, you'll serve us. You can find this in 1 Samuel 17 verses 8 to 10. Now, imagine the fear in the Israelite camp. Grown men, trained soldiers, were shaking in their boots, too afraid to take up for their nation. King Saul himself, who's the tallest man in Israel, wouldn't step up either. They had everything they needed, armor, swords, experience, but no one was willing to fight. And then, here comes David. David wasn't even supposed to be there for battle. He was just a shepherd boy, sent by his father to bring food to his older brothers. But when he arrived and heard Goliath's words, something stirred inside him. David didn't see Goliath as just a physical problem. He saw him for what he really was, a spiritual threat. So, David says to the soldiers that stood around, "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" Found in 1 Samuel 17 verse 26. See, David wasn't like the others. This wasn't about ego for him. This was about God's name, God's people, and God's promised future. The way David saw it, if Goliath won, it wasn't just about Israel losing land or status. It was about God's reputation being on the line. David took things personal. Now, let's bring this to today. How many of us see the giants in our lives, those struggles, challenges, temptations, and just let them talk us down, day after day? Bills piling up, relationships falling apart, dreams slipping away. And we sit back, scared, like those soldiers. But David shows us something powerful. When you understand what's truly at stake, you don't back down. So David tells King Saul, "I'll fight him." And you know what Saul does? He tries to suit David up with his own armor, heavy, clunky, and not built for him. But David wasn't having it. He knew that winning this battle wasn't about weapons or strength, it was about trusting God. Then David says to King Saul, "The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine." Found in 1 Samuel 17 verse 37. David understood something that we often forget. Victory doesn't come from what's around you, it comes from who's with you. Victory is an inside job. So he grabbed what he knew, 5 smooth stones and his sling. That's it. Nothing fancy. Just faith, preparation, and confidence in God. And that's a lesson right there. Use what God has already put in your hands. Now here's where it gets real. David steps onto the battlefield, and Goliath takes one look at him and laughs. "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" Goliath thought it was a joke. But David wasn't laughing. He fires back with something powerful. David says to Goliath, "You come against me with sword and spear and shield, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty," located in 1 Samuel 17 verse 45. See, David wasn't fighting in his own strength, he was fighting with God's authority. And when you know God's got your back, you move with a different kind of confidence. David didn't hesitate. He ran toward Goliath, slung a stone, and bam! Right between the eyes. The giant fell face down. But David didn't stop there. He goes and takes Goliath's own sword and cuts off his head. You can find in 1 Samuel 17 verses 50 to 51. That's how you finish a fight when you take it personal. So what can we learn from this today? 1. It's time to take it personal. Whatever Goliath you're facing, doubt, fear, addiction, struggles, it's time to stop seeing it as just another challenge. If it's threatening your purpose, your peace, your faith, it's personal. 2. God has already prepared you. David didn't wait for the perfect moment or better equipment. He used what God had already given him. You don't need more, you need to trust God with what you have. 3. Victory comes through faith, not fear. The Israelites saw Goliath and froze. David saw Goliath and moved. The difference? Faith. When you believe that God is bigger than your battle, you won't run from the fight, you will run toward it. 4. Shut down the enemy's voice. Goliath kept talking, but David responded with truth. Stop letting your situation define you, start speaking God's promises over it. After David defeated Goliath, guess what happened? The whole army of Israel got their courage back. Sometimes, when you take your battle personal and win, it inspires others to step up too. So, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep listening to the enemy, letting fear win? Or are you going to step up like David, knowing that this fight is personal and that God's got your back? It's time to take your Goliath down for good. Thanks for hanging with me today. If this story spoke to you, share it with someone who needs some encouragement. And remember, when you take your battles personal, victory is already yours, in Jesus' name. See you next time.